I've got 4 main points to make here, and these are really 4 strategies that I have in place in my mind that I think help me steer clear of things that are nonsense and help me to pursue the truth. So I want to share those with you. Now, there are probably more than 4 things, but these are the 4 that leap out to me in particular. And I want to make it clear that I'm really addressing people here that are well on the way to, stepping out of the herd mentality. I'm not saying anything about groupthink. I'm really addressing people who consider themselves truth seekers already, right? And as a truth seeker myself, I just recognize that there are a number of pitfalls that you can fall into. And these are the pitfalls that I am aware of. I may be falling into certain ones myself that I'm not even aware of. Who can tell? But these are the ones that I am aware of, and I want to share them with you. Now, here's the first one. Point number 1. Distrust testimony without evidence. I touched on this a couple of videos ago, where I mentioned a book called From Witchcraft to Christ by Doreen Irvine, where she talks about her life as a witch and having seen Satan manifest himself and going through occult rituals and things. And of course it's all presented without a shred of evidence. Now, this sort of stuff is not restricted to Christianity, and it's not even restricted to just religion. You'll find this kind of thing everywhere. Now, one book that jumps into my mind, a book I read called Trance-formation of America by Cathy O'Brien, who claims to be an MK Ultra mind control survivor. And this book is one of the hardest books that I have ever read because it is just grueling, the things she talks about in it. I mean, she even talks about listening to George Bush Sr., yes, ex-President George Bush, raping her 10-year-old daughter Kelly in the next room. And that's not the worst thing in the book, really. This book is an excruciating read, and you're left kind of swimming at sea with a woman who's trying to tell you that the way the world isn't the way you think it is, that it's far, far darker. Now, the world may well be far, far darker, but I need evidence for this. It's no good having someone come along and just claim stuff. Now, think of some other people that you might be familiar with if you're into the whole conspiracy theory and esoteric spirituality sort of scene. Think about Arizona Wilder, whom David Icke interviewed in that big 2-hour interview, Revelations of a Mother Goddess. So she claims to have been partaking at occult rituals with the British royal family. And she says that the Windsors sacrifice babies and drink their blood, and they turn into reptilian entities during these things. And she doesn't offer a shred of evidence for this, and yet David Icke's completely on board with her. Cathy O'Brien also makes one of these sort of reptilian claims, but she thinks it's more to do with some kind of holographic technology. But again, David Icke puts his own spin on that. And you've got Credo Mutwa, the Zulu shaman, who talks about reptilian entities in the African history. I'm mentioning David Icke a lot purely because him and his research is what I'm most familiar with. But this goes right across the board here. And think about even Project Camelot. I've listened to some interviews of Project Camelot, and I don't know what to do with them because I don't have the evidence. I've listened to things that Jordan Maxwell has said. I've listened to things that Leo Zagami has said. I don't know what to do with this stuff. And it really boils down to one thing for me. If someone is essentially saying, hey, just take my word for it, then how is that anything but an insult to your intelligence? And I think, the challenging question that you need to ask yourself and that I need to ask myself is, how much bullshit are we swallowing here? How much of this can we really connect the dots empirically with evidence that we can really know this is provably true? In terms of our views on conspiracy and in terms of our views on spirituality and everything right across the board. Evidence is pretty important, don't you think? Or are we just trafficking in rumour? Point 2. Distrust, fanciful philosophy. I'm really talking about people who have views on the afterlife and state those views almost as if they've been there and they've come back and they can tell you how it is. People who claim things about reincarnation, past life, karma, being in contact with spirit guides. I'm talking about all those people who, you know, claim to have channeled other entities from other dimensions and who have like testimony of channeled writings. I'm talking about anybody with a paranormal ability that is in the public eye who, you know, makes money off this. Like take Derek Acora, for instance, from the UK. He puts stage shows together where he charges money and lots of people sit down and he pretends to, you know, contact their dead friends and relatives. I saw one of his DVDs and within 5 minutes I knew he was a liar, because I knew something about a technique called cold reading. And again, it comes down to this old, just take my word for it. How much of what we're really believing can we put together in our heads in a way where we can join the dots rationally, either through evidence or through deduction? Now, on the whole telekinesis thing, I hope I have not insulted people's intelligence. I've very much tried not to, and from the very beginning I've always said, look, don't just take my word for it. Prove this to yourself by doing it. And I go to great pains to put some instructions online and to put videos online that hopefully allow you to get it going quicker than I did when I was just flying blind with this stuff.